Okay, now, let's quickly talk about the EFCC. You've talked about the EFCC quite a few times. You know there's a new sheriff in town in EFCC now. And a good number of, some people are wondering whether or not, you know, the proper process or procedure has been followed in the engagement of the EFCC chairman. Do you think there is any issue there?
No, there's no issue. The only issue that has been raised, which for me has to be considered by the government, is that you have in this country the Federal Character Commission Act, and also by virtue of Section 14 of the Constitution, appointments must reflect federal character. So if you are going to have, you have the EFCC and the ICPC, the heads cannot come from the same zone. So if there are two positions in this country, in the public service, one must go to the north, one must come to the south. If there are 4, 2 must go to the north, 2 must come to the south. If there are 6, 1 must go to each geopolitical zone. That is the law in Nigeria today. So I am not comfortable with the fact as of today, the heads of the EFCC and the ICPC are from the same zone. Apart from that, Mr. Olukoyede is eminently qualified to head the EFCC. My colleagues who have criticized the appointment have not looked at the laws, the relevant law, the relevant provision of the EFCC, which is Section 2, which provides that the chairman, right, must be at least an assistant commissioner of police or its equivalent in the security service or in a law enforcement agency. When Mr. Abdurrashid Bawa was appointed, there were people saying, no, this position is for police officers. And I said, no. If you had served in a law enforcement agency, you are qualified and you have acquired enough experience, you are qualified to head the EFCC. In the case of Mr. Olukoyede, he had been the chief of staff to the chairman of the EFCC. He has also been the secretary of that body, and of course a board member by virtue of his position as a secretary of the commission. Now, people are saying, oh, he hasn't acquired the cognate experience. The law does not say the cognate experience must be in that agency. So if you have a gentleman who is said to be a regulatory compliance consultant and, you know, who has also worked in the detection of crime or fraud, accomplished, you know, expert in those areas, you cannot say he hasn't acquired the cognate experience. Because cognate experience actually means your acquisition of the skills in the area we're talking about. So it does not mean it shall be in the EFCC. For instance, I know a lawyer who has been prosecuting for the EFCC since 2004 when the body took off. And I'm talking of more than any lawyer in Nigeria. He has successfully prosecuted corruption cases, financial crimes cases. I'm talking of Mr. Rotimi Jacobs SAN. So there's no way you can say that such a lawyer who has prosecuted, you know, majority of the cases investigated by the EFCC has not acquired the cognate experience. So if you have a lawyer of 22 years who has spent the better part of his practice in detection of crimes, detection of fraud-related crimes, and who has acquired the knowledge at home and abroad, you know, who has worked with international anti-fraud agencies like FBI, you know, the fraud office in the UK and the rest of them, it is difficult to say, to question his competence. Again, as I said, the only area where I think the government will have to go back to the drawing table is also to ensure that the anti-graft agencies in the country are not headed by people from one region.